Then here's a little item now that's not to be sniffed at. Peace of mind that I got out of all this work, coming out of those 20 years of going the extra mile. Do you have any idea, ladies and gentlemen, how many people there are in the world at any one time who are willing to do anything for 20 years in succession without getting something back out of it? Do you have any idea how many people there are in this world who are willing to do something 3 days in succession without being sure they're going to get something out of it? You'd be surprised if you found out how few there are. You'd be surprised. And overlooking one of the grandest opportunities that a human being could possibly have, especially here in this country of ours where we really can create our own destiny, where we can express ourselves in any way that we want to. Speech is free, activities are free, education is free. A wonderful opportunity to get right in and go the extra mile in any direction you want to travel. And yet most people are not doing it. I have seen the time when there were not so many people interested in their philosophy because they were prosperous, they were doing all right, they had no troubles to speak of. Today everybody almost has troubles, or he thinks he has. Now, do you know what I do instead of finding out what's wrong with the rest of the world? Do you know how I put in my time?
Find out what's wrong with him.
Yes, I try to find out what I can do to correct this guy here. That I have to eat with him, I have to sleep with him, I have to shave his face every morning, I have to wash his face, I have to give him a bath now and then. Why, you have no idea how many things I have to do for him. And I have to live with the guy 24 hours a day. So I put in my time trying to improve myself, and through myself trying to improve my friends and my students by writing books and by delivering lectures and by teaching and in other ways. And it pays off very much better than it would if I sat down and took the old Trib or any of the other papers and read all of the murder stories, all of the divorce scandals and everything that blazoned across the pages every day. So I'm still talking about this fellow Napoleon Hill who didn't have sense enough not to decline Andrew Carnegie's offer to work 20 years for nothing. In his declining years will be years of happiness because of the seeds of kindness and help sown in the hearts of others. That's a wonderful thing. If I had my life to live over again, I'd live it just exactly the way I have. I'd make all the mistakes I have made. I'd make them at the time in life when I made them, back early, so I'd have time enough to correct some of them. And that period during which I would come into peace of mind and understanding would be in the afternoon of life, not in the forenoon. Because I could stand it. I can take it. When you're young, you can take it. But when you pass the noon hour and you go into the afternoon, why, your energies are not as great oftentimes as they were before, your physical energies. Sometimes your mental capacity is not as great. And you can't take as much trouble as you can in your days of youth. And you haven't got so many years left to correct the mistakes that you make. So, to have the tranquility, the peace of mind that I have today in the afternoon of life is one of the great joys that has come out of this philosophy. And if you ask me what has been my greatest compensation, I would say that's it. Because there's so many people at my age, and even much younger than I, who haven't found peace of mind and never will. They never will. Because they're looking for it in the wrong place. They're not doing anything about it. They're expecting somebody else to do something about it for them. And that peace of mind is something that you've got to get for yourself. You've got to earn it, first of all. As to how anybody can get peace of mind. And you'd be surprised where you have to really start looking for it. Not where the average person is looking for it, out there in the joys of what money will buy, out there in the joys of recognition and fame and fortune and what have you. Not there. But in the humility of the one individual's own heart. I get peace of mind mostly in that third inner wall that I described to you, where the wall is as high as eternity, where I go in for meditation many times each day. There's where I get my real peace of mind. And I can always withdraw into that inner wall, cut out every earthly influence, and commune with the higher forces of the universe. What a grand thing that is. And anybody can do that. You can do that. When you get through this philosophy, you'll be able to do anything you want to do, just as well or better than anything that I can do. And I'm hoping, incidentally, that every student that I turn out will eventually excel me in every way that I know possible. Maybe in writing books. Maybe you'll take up where I left off and write better books than I wrote. Why not? I haven't said the last word in my books, nor in my lectures, or in anything else. Matter of fact, I'm just a student. Just a student. I think a fairly intelligent student, but just a student on the path And the only state of perfection that I have is that I have actually found peace of mind and how to get it. Engage in at least one act of going the extra mile every day. Now, you can choose your own circumstance. If it is nothing more than telephoning an acquaintance and wishing him good fortune. You'll be surprised what will happen to you when you begin to call up your friends that you have been neglecting for some time and just say, well, hello, you were on my mind. I was thinking about you. I just wanted to call up and say, how do you do? And I hope you are feeling as good as I am. You'd be surprised what that'll do to you and what it'll do to the friend, too. And it doesn't have to be a close personal friend. It just has to be somebody you know. Or you may relieve some friend from duty for half an hour or so, or have some neighbor send over his children while he attends the movies, or you might do a little babysitting for one of your neighbors. You're going to be at home anyway. Maybe you've got some children of your own. Maybe you know some neighbor that would like to get off and go down to the movies, but she can't get away from her children. Oh, I know, the children are noisy, and they probably fight with your children. But if you're a real diplomat, you'll keep them apart. She'll be under obligations to you, and you'll feel that you've really been kind by helping out somebody who otherwise wouldn't have had a little freedom. So it'd be a nice thing for some of you people who don't have any children to say, well, could I come over and babysit for you while you go out? Why don't you and your husband go on a little courtship, go out to the movie, go to a show, and let me come over and babysit for you? Well, of course, you have to know your neighbors pretty well in order to do that. Certainly, most of you would have some neighbor that you could approach on some such basis as that, and they wouldn't think you were crazy. It's not so much what you do to the other fellow, it's what you do to yourself by finding ways and means of going the extra mile. In little ways. Did you know that both the successes in life and the failures are made up of little things? Very little things. So little, in fact, that oftentimes they're overlooked. The real reasons for success is overlooked because the things that make success are such small, seemingly insignificant things. I know some people so popular, they couldn't have an enemy. They just couldn't have an enemy. And one of them is my distinguished business associate, Mr. Stone. Always going the extra mile. And look how prosperous he is. Look how many people are going the extra mile from him. There are a lot of people who, if they didn't make good money working for Mr. Stone, if they had to do it, they'd pay him a salary even to work for him. And I know, I heard one say just that. And he's become immensely wealthy himself, working for Mr. Stone. He said, if I didn't make money out of working for him, I'd pay him if I had to, just for association with him. Now, Mr. Stone's not different from you or me or anybody else, except in his mental attitude toward people, toward himself. He makes it his business to go the extra mile. Sometimes people take advantage of that. Don't act fairly with him. I've seen that happen, too. He doesn't worry about that too much. In fact, he doesn't worry about anything at all, period. Because he's learned to adjust himself to life in such a way that he gets great joy out of living, gets great joy out of people. Or you may write a letter to some acquaintance offering him encouragement. In your job, you may do a little more than you're paid to do. Stay a little longer on the job, make some other person a little more happy. Thank you very much.